Alright guys, I thought I'd do a quick walkthrough through my little garden here. It really doesn't amount to a whole lot. We just raise kind of like what we like to eat through the summer. But we'll start with the potatoes here. I always grow a Kennebec potato. I really like that variety, and I've tried some others in the past and they didn't do quite as well. I didn't like them as well anyway. But this is a good example I want to show you guys here. The bigger row there, I cut those potatoes, and I was, kind of liberal with how I cut them. I didn't really cut them up very small. Well, guess what? I began to realize, you know what? I'm going to run out of potatoes. So I started cutting them smaller, and the very small cuts were put in this row here. And you can really tell the difference in in the size of the potato there, the plant. And that's all it was. They were both treated the same. Now when I plant potatoes, I don't get no big hurry. I mean, everybody says to plant them on St. Patrick's Day. I don't worry about that. These were planted about the 15th of May with the rest of the garden. It was really wet this year, so that I waited until then. Sometimes I'll get them in around the 1st of May, but usually I don't have time. So the 15th of May, they're just now starting to bloom. Won't be too long till we'll start robbing a few potatoes out of these hills. They're doing really good, but I always plant them with some bone meal, and I mix the bone meal up in the soil, plant them in that, and then come back and side dress them with a little triple 12 fertilizer. So then we've got tomatoes here. We only have got 8 plants because we don't can. We just eat what we grow here and give away a few extras if there are any. I have pruned these back or suckered them pretty hard this year, kind of as an experiment. I have only let one stem, one shoot come up, and got rid of everything else up to this point. But the tomatoes are looking really good. I am starting to see just a little touch of blight. It's not been super wet, but it's been some little rains here and there and kept them damp, and the blight comes out of the soil anyway. And these tomatoes were planted pretty close to where they were planted last year, so that's really a no-no. You really should switch up where you're going to be planting your tomatoes every year. But so far so good. We're going to get some out of them. But these here are a Kellogg's Breakfast. It's an old heirloom. It's a yellow tomato. I've never had that before in my garden, but we had a tomato contest on our greenhouse page last year, and it won it, or it got second place. I'm sorry. It got second place, and they were beautiful, solid yellow, meaty all the way through. So we got a couple of those going here, and you can see they're loading up pretty good. And that's one here. Okay, and then our next one here is the Super Steak. We have 2 of those plants. Super Steak is my favorite red tomato. It's really big, and it is the tomato that won the contest last year. And it was, I think, 6 3/4 inches across. So phenomenal. Red beefsteak type, and it really bears well. As you can see here, we're starting to really get some fruit, and they all get big, really flavorful. The next 2 down here are going to be our German Pink 400s. Now that's my favorite tomato. It's a big smooth pink, and it's really flavorful, lower acid than the Super Steaks. I love them. I really like that tomato. And then the last 2 down here are Ox Hearts. So my wife really likes Ox Hearts because she says if you're going to have any tomatoes at all, you'll have Ox Hearts. They bear really good. They bear all summer. They seem to have maybe a little bit better disease resistance to the blight. Down here we've got some Yummy Peppers. Yummy Peppers they're kind of like what you see in the grocery stores in bags. They are different colors, sweet peppers, and they're starting to bear pretty good there too. So I've never grown these before in my garden. I've sold them in the greenhouse a couple years, so I'm not exactly sure how they're going to turn out. We'll see. I know I like to eat them, but I don't, I'm not sure when to pick them. So if any of you guys out there know if they need to change colors before you pick them, let me know on that one. Patty, I'll bet you know the answer to that. Now we have some lettuce and sweet onions here. Just your regular variety green onions, I should say. Nothing fancy about that. Some cucumbers, which we're getting ready to eat here in just a few minutes. It's lunchtime here, and we got some cucumbers here to have with some cheeseburgers shortly. Maybe a little bit of wilted lettuce and green onions. You can't beat that. These over here are some yellow straight-neck summer squash. They're not blooming yet, and we set those out late at the end of our greenhouse season, so they got a little work to do. And then my corn is, I had a guy come in to the greenhouse during the season. He said, "Boy, that honey lick corn," he said, "that's the best corn I ever ate." He said, "You need to go over and get you some honey lick." And I got all excited and drove probably a half hour, 40 minutes to the place where he said he got that good honey lick corn. And I walked in, I said, "Boy, I'd like to get me a little bag of that honey lick corn." I said, "A guy said that stuff sure was good." They said, "Honey lick." Well, we don't carry any honey lick, but we carry honey select. So I guess that's what he was talking about. I'm gonna gamble it and go ahead and I tried that. So this is a yellow sweet corn, and according to that feller, he said that's the sweetest, best corn he ever ate. So we'll see. It's just doing phenomenal. We also side dress this with a triple 12 fertilizer. Only got 2 rows now. My little garden here is only about 30 feet wide by 50 or 60 feet long. Doesn't amount to a whole lot, but I try to really concentrate on it and do a really good job as best as I can, and get the most I can off of this little plot. And it usually more than feeds us. Didn't go with any beans this year. We're not huge bean fans, but we just kind of go with what we really enjoy. And my favorite thing to eat is probably tomatoes and potatoes. I love those too. But now on those tomatoes, usually I will water those in with a little Miracle Grow or some kind of a water-soluble fertilizer. And then after that, I don't touch them again with fertilizer until I see the first tomato. Then I usually go back and side dress them with that triple 12. If you fertilize too heavy when they're little, you'll have beautiful tomato plants, but you won't have very many tomatoes. So that's the reasoning behind that. But so far so good on the garden. Now I told Trina we've been having some thunderstorms around us. Usually it's just about this time of the year, and she surely agreed. Oh, this old corn probably get blowed down. Happens every year, seems like. So, but anyway, that's what we've got going on here in our little plot. I can't wait to start eating a little more out of it. Hey, thank you guys for watching. Sure appreciate it, and we'll catch up with you on the next video.